Well, greetings. This is Kathleen Caldwell, founder of C-Suite Network's Women's Coaching and Consulting Council and the founder of the Women's Success Accelerator. And we believe in our council that when women are successful, men are successful, children and people around the world. So we've got a big mission here, and we're so glad that you're here. And I'm so delighted to welcome my dear friend, Deb Krier, to be our speaker today. She's an esteemed faculty member, and we're going to bring her on in a moment, but just wanted to just say hello to everyone. We're so glad you're here. And I am so grateful to be the founder of this council because we are all about promoting, showcasing, highlighting, and lifting you up. If you're a thought leader, you're a coach consultant, you're a trusted advisor, we're all about giving you a platform. And we all need a platform, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to have a platform. And so I am also an author, a speaker. I run groups and councils and masterminds. And so like you, I am very busy and focused on accelerating not only my success, but also yours. And before we get going fully with Deb's presentation and her talk, gosh, we've been dreaming about and thinking about it for so long. Love to do a big shout out to some of our speakers we've had on our podium. And by the way, all of these programs are on our YouTube channel. So if you just do a Google search for C-Suite Network, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, we're the only one on there. And so you can watch, I think we're now up to, I think about 45 different events that you can watch. I hear often that people love to just listen on the audio while they're going for a walk or doing things, you know, in their gym or whatever it is, keeping moving while they're listening. So big shout out to Michelle McGlade talking about her program was amazing, powerfully choosing what's next for you. Great replay. And then we had a back to school biz boot camp. Fantastic. Everything that you need to know to start, grow, and monetize your coaching consulting business. So Sheila Anderson talked about branding. It was fabulous. Christina DiGiacomo spoke about how to attract more guys and fellows into your business. And this was so important because, you know, if you're only working with women, I say only, hello, women are 49.4% of the global population. We want to work with fellows too. So Christina did a great program on how to do that. She leads councils and mastermind groups just with men. And it's quite extraordinary and doing great work. And then, of course, Catherine Sellery spoke about how to build a global movement. She's the founder of the Conscious Parenting Revolution, and she is, like, no kidding, creating a global revolution. So watch that replay. And then a big shout out to our other esteemed faculty members. Cindy Watson, new book out, The Art of Feminine Negotiation, very powerful. You can get it at your bookstores and on Amazon. And of course, another big shout out to our sister, Carol Kammerer, getting all these top awards for her LinkedIn for the Savvy Executive book, best-selling book, really powerful, new awards. So the theme today is how to turn turmoil into triumph and impact. And so as I introduce our fabulous esteemed faculty member, Deb Krier, you know, some of you may be like leaning in to say, okay, I don't know what this is, but turmoil makes me nervous, you know. And for many of us, when we hear about turmoil, challenges, problems, it's kind of like risk ahead, you know, it's a dangerous road to go on. But today we're going to talk about how to turn problems and situations, diagnosis, and stuff that comes up in life into opportunities. And so I would love to now introduce and bring to the podium our fabulous esteemed faculty member, Deb Krier. Deb Krier is an amazing woman. She's lived multiple lifetimes in her life, in her short life, we'll just say. And she's the founder of Wise Women Communication, the founder of the podcast, The Business Power Hour. And she's now starting a new movement that we want to all know about so we can support her, support the cause. And just with that, I'd love to say welcome to the podium, Deb Krier. We're so happy you're here.
Well, thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. You know, when you and I were talking about how we're going to do the program, it was so much fun to be figuring out, you know, just how to go about this without too much gloom and doom, and being able to still have fun with this topic, because it can be a serious topic, but what the heck, we're going to make it fun. So I want to go back in time. I started Wise Women Communications 20 years ago. I decided, was tired of the rat race. I actually got laid off from where I was working. And so I thought, let's like as what happens many times with people, I decided to start my own company. And so that's when I started Wise Women Communications. It's a full service marketing firm. We're still going strong today. But, we were just going merrily along. And it was great. It was successful. We were doing everything we were supposed to be doing, moved from Colorado to Atlanta and having a great time in business. And then, yikes, the worst happened. I went for my annual checkup. I had my annual mammogram, and they called, and this was July of 2015. And they called and said, you need to come back. And now you toss in the fact that I not only worked for the American Cancer Society, I also had worked for an oncologist, which is a cancer doctor. And so I knew that those words were not good words. It wasn't, gee, the equipment malfunctioned or anything like that. It was, this was, this got serious really fast. So I trot myself back down, get the squishing going again. And Josh, here you are with all these women, and I apologize to the guys who are going to be listening to, it's entertaining process when you have a mammogram. It really is just this squishing. And so, it was, then what happens is you wait. And that's been part of one of the things that I have learned throughout this whole process is you spend a heck of a lot of time waiting, and your brain takes you to the worst possible place. I'm going to die tomorrow. This is horrible. This is awful. It's never, you aren't thinking this is something fun. This is going to be nothing. Your brain does go to, this is the worst possible case. And to my doctor's credit, they processed everything really fairly quickly. My primary care doctor, who had ordered the test, called me and said, there's something that's showing up. So I'm going to refer you to another doctor. So go, and now the nice thing was, the appointments got scheduled really pretty quickly. It wasn't a ton of waiting because, with something like this, they don't want to say, hey, we'll see you in 3 months. And so they got me in very quickly. I talked to the doctor, and she said I had what's known as microcalcifications. Now that was new to me. Even with my background with cancer, I had no idea what that meant because I did not have a lump, a bump, and anything like that. And so microcalcifications are actually smaller than grains of salt. And the computer that reads the mammograms, because now it's computer and human, the computer read the mammogram and saw these. And so basically there's just these little speakly spots that were floating around, or artifacts, as the doctor called them. There's artifacts. And I'm like, really? Artifacts? Well, that's a fun thing to call these things. And so, so I researched it. I did what everybody does, right? Dr. Google. And so, I go to Dr. Google and I start looking at it, and it says that, over 50% of women of a certain age have these. And it just happens when your body goes into menopause. It just starts putting these little fragmenty things out. And the vast majority of the time, there's really not a problem. So I go into the doctor. She does a biopsy. Not fun. They actually could hear me scream in the waiting room because the Novocaine had not done its job. And so then she, that seemed okay, but she said, let's do another just to make sure. That was great fun. This time we had more drugs. And, and then she said, okay, here's your follow-up appointment. Now, by that point, we had known that it was a form of cancer. And so they had said it's stage 0. This is really not going to be anything to worry about. They do think stage 0 is not to worry. Stage 4 is oopsie doopsie. And then you've got these varying things in between. And so she said, it's looking like stage 0. We're not going to be concerned, but let's do another test just to make sure. So they did like I said, they did the second biopsy, and, everything now is online, right? So I get my online report before I see her, and I'm reading it, and it says metastatic breast cancer. Now that means it's not stage 0. That means it has spread. So I found out that my cancer had spread by reading it online. Not good. When I saw the doctor, I was not a happy camper. And so, she and I talked about what to do. And she said, okay, now we need to do the big biopsies. We need to pull a lymph node or two and just see what it looks like. And so I had an MRI. The MRI was inconclusive. It showed that my lymph nodes were lit up, which means they're active, which is not good, but they're only active if there's something going on in your body. So like an infection will make them light up. And I had a very bad case of poison ivy on that side, on that arm. So they thought, that's probably what this is. Let's not worry about it. So I go in and they test one of the lymph nodes, and it came back positive. So then they pulled every lymph node. And one of the things that so these are in your armpit, and it varies. Everybody has a different number. It's very strange. Some people have 2, some people have 20, all these various things. So they removed 12, and 8 were positive for cancer. So then I went to stage 3. This is not good. So I get referred to the oncologist, and she says, because you've got these little bitsy pieces floating around in your body, we're going to hit this hard. So I had 8 different chemo drugs. 8, folks. I don't even know how many fingers that is. There we go. And it was not a big deal. I knew what to expect. Like I said, I knew just enough to be dangerous. But several days after I got that, I developed a complication that happens less than 1% of the time, and darn near died. I went into septic shock, and then I got sepsis, which, that is not good. And so, we were very fortunate in the fact that I live 5 minutes from the hospital, and my oncologist had another patient die from it. And at the time, 5 years ago, when she researched it, I was the only person ever to survive this. And so, but that kind of set us down the path of, this is a lot worse than what we thought it was. I spent 7 weeks in the hospital, had multiple surgeries, multiple complications. And the funny thing is, once I could function fairly well, I worked again. Hospitals have really good Wi-Fi. And so, there I was with my little laptop, and some of my clients never even knew that I'd had any issues. So, I kept going merrily along, and, things came and went over the course of time. I had pretty much every complication that you could think of. At this point, I've had, I think, about 30 surgical procedures, but learned a lot through this. And so that is kind of what has really started this process, because for most people, they don't have, all these complications. Might not be a good prognosis, but they don't kind of have these things that happen. And so one of the things that we decided was I could not have chemo again. That was just not going to work. And so they have put me on a drug that I have an infusion of every 21 days. I have a port in my shoulder so that it's very easy for them to give me IVs and to draw blood. And so they just kind of do that. And I will do that indefinitely. It's a fairly nasty drug, but my body has yet to say it doesn't like it. So, we'll just continue with that. And so, we're just kind of going merrily along, and all these things were happening. And late last year, I thought, okay, I'm feeling good again. And so I needed to get really back to doing business and working. So I knew that Kathleen had this great program called the Women's Success Accelerator. And I thought, I need to join that, because at that point I thought, I really want to focus on LinkedIn for senior executives and how we could do that. So I joined the Women's Success Accelerator and was, going in that direction. And I was having a one-on-one call with Kathleen, who knew, quite a bit of my backstory. And she said, I get through this is what I want to do with LinkedIn. Da, 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 da. And she says, there's more. And I went, what? And she said, you did not go through everything you went through to not help other people. Now, that's not the first time I have been told that. My oncologist has been nagging at me for quite a long time to speak to physicians groups, and do other things. And I just kind of always like, yeah, whatever. I'm not scared of speaking. That has no, that there wasn't that factor, but it was, no, that's not what I do. What I do is wise women communications. I do marketing. I do all of these things. But I think hearing from Kathleen, who I very much trust and is such a great mentor, when she said, this is what you need to do, I finally paid attention. And so that was when we started focusing on what we wanted to do with this. And there have been, several things, obviously, that have gone through all of this process. But I came up with the name of what we're doing is Trying Not to Die. And that comes from the fact that one of the times when I was in the hospital and my mother had come out from Kansas to stay with me. And so it was great because between my mom and my husband, I was never alone. There was always somebody with me in the hospital. But, Tom was working as much as he possibly could. And one of the times when mom was there, somebody had come in, had done something and flitted back out. And mom makes the face that moms make, right? When they're disapproving of you. And she said, and I said, what? And she said, you did not say thank you. And I said, well, for God's sakes, I'm trying to not die here. And I might have even been in ICU at that point. But, so when Kathleen and I were talking about this, we really started talking about the fact that when you get that sick, whether it's cancer, whether it's COVID, whether it's, anything and everything else, you get so focused on trying not to die that you forget that you have to live. And so when I was, I typed in, I go to GoDaddy and I type in, tryingnottoDie.com, and it was taken. How rude. And so I, GoDaddy gives you a list of other things that are available. And up pops tryingnottoDie.live. And I mean, that was just absolute fate. And I thought, it was $8. I thought, if I decide not to use it, it was $8. Whoopee. So I went ahead and bought that, kept working with Kathleen and the other wonderful women in the Women's Success Accelerator, and really started thinking, okay, this is something I should do. I need to develop something where I reach out to cancer patients, because I am a marketing person. So I know I have to niche. It can't just be this message is for everybody. So my niche is breast cancer. I mean, that's what I know the most about. That's where I can empathize with people the most. And so, I would reach out to and connect with and support women who have breast cancer. And then on the other side, physicians who are dealing with people who have these very serious illnesses. And I have lots of examples of, how the physicians, I fired 3 through the course of my treatment. Wonderful doctors, several of them saved my lives, but there just was something there. And so that's one of the things I tell people is, if you're not clicking with your doctor, I don't care what level it is, get a new doctor. You need to find somebody, especially if it's long-term treatment, you need to get somebody who you trust, who listens to you, and who is part of your team. And I want to talk more about that word team, because we've actually changed it to tribe. Fairly soon in my diagnosis, I saw this thing and it said, fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. And that really just totally resonated with me, that, we are the warriors. We are the leaders of our tribe, and our tribe is, this fighting of this disease, and everybody else supports us, whether it's the healers, which every tribe has healers, and they can be anything from physicians to naturopaths to anybody and everybody in there. We also have all the other people in our tribe. We have people who guide us, right? Tribes always have somebody who is the guide person, and all these, but at the heart and soul, we are the warrior. We are the ones who stand up and say, I'm the one in charge and I'm the one in control. And so one of the things I did was, much to my mother's dismay, I got a tattoo. Now I laugh when people say, oh, you have a tattoo. And, and I've had people, oh, how can you get something that disfigures you? And I'm like, well, I've had a double mastectomy. I've had 5 abdominal surgeries. I've had this, that, and everything else. Tattoo really is not much, and I already had 5 tattoos from when I had radiation. They actually will do permanent tattooing when they're doing radiation to be able to know where the computers are supposed to go to guide them. And they initially do it with magic marker, which came up here across my face. And I was like, because I had to have it for 30 days. And so we did the tattoos. And so I added a tattoo and I had it put on my inner forearm because then I can see it. When I'm laying there, when I'm having treatment, when I'm doing whatever, I could see the word warrior. And then I went earlier this year and I had it added to, see, and I never do this right. And so it says warrior still there in the center. And then the other parts are very special to me. I mean, every tattoo is. The butterfly, of course, signifies life, and life that has changed, right? Caterpillars become these butterflies. And then the other things are my angels. So the red arrowhead, my father hunted arrowheads in Colorado. And so he is one of my angels. And it's that color because my grandmother, who also had breast cancer, her name was Ruby. And then I have the morning glories for a friend of mine who passed away several years ago. And that the morning glories is actually the same tattoo that she has on her leg or had on her leg. And so again, it's right here where I see it every time I have treatment, anytime I have something like that. But the warrior theme is something that we carried into trying not to die, live. That you are building your tribe, you are in control, and that's one of the things I think that happens so much when somebody has cancer, has a serious diagnosis, is we think the doctor is God and we're not going to question them. We're not going to do anything that might upset them. And, they're just part of the team, and if we push back, if we say no, if we ask for more information, they darn well better give it to us. Or as I said, you get a different doctor. So, that is part of this. And so, we started developing all of this, and I'm so pleased that there are other people who are part of my team who have joined us for this call, because of it's funny, and Kathleen and I were talking about this, and we've talked about this numerous times. I can build websites, I can do branding, I can do all of those various things, but it's like the cobbler whose kids don't have shoes. I could do it, maybe, get put off, or it'd be kind of halfway. When I made the financial investment to say, this is what we're doing, then it was real. Then I had people holding me accountable. I had all these various things. And so that was part of, the Women's Success Accelerator. There is a fee that pertains to that. And so the first thing that I had to do was develop the brand, okay, this is great. It's trying not to die, live. And we kind of have this warrior, but then what? So I started working with Josh Zeppes, and I absolutely cannot say enough about Josh, because he really helped to develop the whole process. I mean, it wasn't just because you hear branding and you think, okay, so you get a logo and what's your font color, and no. I mean, we developed a brand manifesto that is such a great resource. And it even, like one of the things that I love about it is that we have, as a marketing person, I know it's very important to develop your avatar. Who are you trying to reach? Who are your target market? And so we have two. We have the patient and we have the doctor. And so we don't have just a patient and a doctor. Josh has written stories about them, and it talks about things like, the doctor, his name is Donald. He straightens his tie. He makes sure that his white coat is pressed. and he goes to do all of this, and so it's these fascinating stories that help build this out. And the reason you do this from a marketing perspective is then when I'm writing messages, we know exactly who we're writing for. We're not writing for everyone because, yeah, pretty much everybody knows somebody who has cancer or they've had it themselves. But that's too broad. You have got to write for a specific audience. Otherwise, you're writing for no one. And so, we really developed this process, and it was fascinating to work with someone who is such an expert in this. We have my producer, Kim. So she is the producer of the Business Power Hour, and she has just been an absolute fabulous person to support me through this process. And then I know that listening later are going to be the folks that have designed the website, and we'll show that here in a second. But one of the things, and whether it's cancer or starting a business, you feel very much alone. And one of the most important things is to build that tribe, build that team of people around you who are going to support your vision, because it's not going to happen if kind of in this vacuum. And that really is one of the things that I found with cancer, and I had known this from my prior work. Doesn't matter what's going on, you think you're very isolated. And every diagnosis is different. Just because I have breast cancer, and my actual technical name and is stage 4 triple positive breast cancer. And we discovered the stage 4 part, which makes it the worst you can get, because there was a possibility it had spread to a rib. And that was another fun test, boy. But and so the thing is, when you have stage 4, you're not considered cured. It just kind of goes into hiding. So that is part of having to deal with this, is it's always there, but we're always just going to push it down. We're going to push it down in many cases with humor. I mean, it was funny when I was promoting this to my friends on Facebook and things. I said, this is going to be a funny thing. Hello, have you not met me? There were times when, you go into the doctor, what is your name? And I would smile at them and I would say, Anastasia Beaverhausen. Sometimes they laughed and sometimes they went, and then, other times they were like, oh God, it's her again. And I would laugh going into surgery and all of these things. And, like I said, I had a double mastectomy and I chose not to do any reconstructive surgery. So I have prostheses that I wear on occasion. And so what do? You have to name them, right? If you're me, you name them. And so I have Lucy and Ethel, Thelma and Louise, all these things. And then of course you have to do things like wear shirts that say this, heck yes, they're fake. The real ones tried to kill me. And so I think that is part of it. I remember, somebody said one time to Alan Alda about laughing so much during MASH. And he said, you either laugh or you cry. And of course we have to cry. There have been not a lot of times, but times during all of this where I have cried. Of course, the first time it was, when I knew, oh crap, this is real. And, and I'm not counting, tears of pain, because there were those, but you have these times, and it is good to have your pity parties. That means that you're human. But the key is not to wallow in those pity parties and get out of them. And of course, I do it by humor. Other people are still very serious and things like that, but you have to be true to yourself. But yeah, I'm like, no, and I have doctors that tell me, oh my God, we're so glad it's you because we needed to laugh. And I've had, they really do just get a kick out of me. My oncologist calls me her miracle patient, because not once, not twice, 3 times my husband was told, no, plan on the worst. And just all of those things. And how do you get through it? Well, I got through it with humor. But as Kathleen and others gently nudged me forward, it's, what can I do now to help others? And I think that really is the key to this. Is I didn't go through this just to go back to business as usual. So, we have done the soft launch of trying not to die.live. And I'm going to go ahead and share my website because we got it done. And it is still a work in progress. So, it's fun. We have, like I said, I worked with two wonderful people, Brian Basilico and Kate Wiley, on this. It's got my saying here, fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm. And then, of course, it tells my story because, this is about me, but it also talks about the fact that live is an acronym. We want to lead our tribes. We want to invigorate our souls. We want to voice our feelings, and we want to elevate our mindsets, because all of that is what actually helps us to get through whatever it is that we're having to deal with. And all of this is the same whether you have a diagnosis where you have weeks or you have a diagnosis where you have years. You have to be in charge. You have to remember what's going on in your soul, and you aren't just the cancer patient. You are this person who is in charge. If you're not in charge, you need to make sure that the person that is in charge is who you want to be in charge. As I said, I was very, very ill. And so my husband, bless him, stepped up. He was, I can't imagine what he went through. But he did all of this, and then we all need to join together. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to stop sharing because we've got, and I encourage everybody, that the website is tryingnottoDie.live. Please go look at it. And as it is, it's just like I said, we just launched this. So if you have feedback, I would absolutely love to get it. Don't hesitate at all to give us feedback, because that's part of this tribe. How do, were we missing something? And Kathleen has put some links in the chat that I encourage everybody to see, because we've got several calls to action. The first is to join our private Facebook group. If you are on Facebook, it's, and the only reason we did it as a private group was because we didn't want people in there selling things, and all sorts of things. So that we do have a private Facebook group, which, Kathleen has the links in there. We also have developed this, I'm going to be Vanna. We have this great notebook. And for right now, it is a PDF, and it will help someone who has cancer go through their journey, because it gets very overwhelming very quickly with all of the information that you've got. So this notebook helps you to keep that in everything all in one place. And I encourage folks, and we do have a link for you to download it for free. If there is someone that you think would benefit, please download it, send it to them. We encourage you to do that. But the key with the notebook is it's got so much great information in there. We want people to be able to really put in here their medical history, their family medical history, their treatment, all of those things. You want to do it in a 3-ring binder because you're going to get more stuff that you need to put in there. So you want to keep it up to date. But it also has things like, power of attorney and, all of those things that you really need to consider when you have a serious diagnosis like this. So we've got that information, and Kathleen put the link in there, and that is my gift to everyone who is listening to the call, is to be able to get that. And then the other is, if you want to talk to me, we've got that information. Kathleen has put the links in there to my schedule, because we want, whether you're just diagnosed, whether you're a friend, that's something that I get all the time. People say, my friend, my sister, my wife have just been diagnosed. What do I do? How do I help them? And so I'm more than happy to talk with folks to say, here's some suggestions. And one of the biggest suggestions is be there for them. Even if it's just they're sleeping and you're going to sit and read a book, just be there with them. One of the strange things that I discovered during this is there were people who I thought were my biggest supporters, completely dropped off the face of the earth. They couldn't deal with it. Okay, fine. People who I didn't even know knew I existed have been some of my biggest supporters. And, it really has just been a learning example to see what happens when you have a serious diagnosis like this. So I'm more than happy to do that. And then of course, the other thing is if you are a physician, if you're a support group, any of those things, we have talks for them, because one of the things that happens frequently is, you get a diagnosis like this, you're going to your doctor, you walk into your doctor and they say, so, hey, Josh, how you doing today? And Josh says, I'm fine. Right. And it doesn't matter if we're on death's doorstep or if we really are fine. That's our answer. So if you are a physician, if you are a caregiver, any of those various things, it's you need to dig deeper when you get the I'm fine answer. I tell people hunky dory. So if I'm feeling really good, how are you doing today, Deb? I'm hunky dory, which makes them laugh for one thing, but it also is very different from the I'm fine. And so as a doctor, how do you dig deeper? How do you know that you have got to pay attention to somebody when they say, I'm fine? It's interesting when you're in the hospital, what's your level of pain? And now they have pictures, and of course 10 is, and so I'm fine is kind of in there as this, well, what does this look mean? So, we've got all of those, and I'm going to wrap up now because we want to have plenty of time for people to ask questions and get feedback. One of the things that Josh mentioned is even if you are not a cancer patient or know anybody, bless you, but please join the Facebook group because we try to make it inspirational and it's fun. I talk about the fact that I have my girls and they're named, and all these various things. So please don't think that you can't be part of the Facebook group if you're not in this situation. I see that, we've got some great, we've already got a suggestion from Raylan, excuse me, on, someone that she could put me in contact with. Bless you. Thank you so much. That's what we're looking for, is how can we reach people? And the whole process is also, as you're building your tribe, how are we doing this to be very inclusive of what you want? Because there are people, bless them, who have chosen to do totally non-traditional types of treatment. I think now we have finally discovered that we have to bring in other things like nutritionists, mental health, all of these various things. And so part of our goal is to make sure that people know there are these resources out there, and do not give your health care decisions away to somebody else. You have absolutely got to be the warrior and the leader of your tribe. So with that, Kathleen, thank you for giving me the gentle, not so gentle nudge to go forward. Thank you to my team members who are here and who are listening to the recording later, because it really does take a tribe to make something like this happen.
Very, very excellent. So let's take ourselves off mute, give Deb a big round of applause here. Thank you. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So, it takes so much courage, Deb, and for all of us, no matter what the diagnosis is in life, the courage to go through it, learn what we're learning, and then be able to use this as an inspiration for good. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. So would love to open up the conversation. Baylin, Josh, anyone else who's on the call is, what is it that you see in Deb and her story that's really inspiring to you?
I'm going to take me off spotlight so that I'm not there.
Thank you very much. Yeah. What is it that you are inspired by and see as a possibility even for yourself? Yeah. Thank you, Baylin. Yes. Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, for inviting me. And Deb, inspiration is not the word. I don't know what the word would be, but it's much bigger than that, because not only have you survived, you are thriving and you are giving back. And that is, inspiration is not the right word. Okay. And when I was caregiving my mother in her last years, cancer was one of the things that we had to deal with. And thankfully she caught it early, and we were able to deal with it pretty well. Yet it's the one that really makes you look at life in a totally different way. Totally different way. Everything else is like, oh, I can get through this, I can get through that. This one, you really don't know. You really don't know. And like you showed us, it's a journey. One thing, then the next thing, then the next thing. And you have to keep your spirit high as much as possible. And so it's important to not feel alone. I am so happy that you're creating this tribe. I'm so happy that you have this resource available for people, because it wasn't there before. And that's what made the whole journey difficult. And you are making it so much more possible to survive and to thrive beyond that.
Well, Baylin, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I mean,
Gorgeous.
it just, and my condolences on the loss of your mom. It's never ever easy, but it just, anything we can do to make this easier for somebody,
Yeah.
because it's weird to talk about making it easier, because it's still, a struggle, but just simple things, like when people say, what can we do to help? Offer to shop for somebody's groceries,
Mm-hmm.
especially like right now. I mean, if you're going through chemo, they're going to tell you, you are not going to the grocery store. There's cooties there, and I don't care how many masks you wear and all those various things. So can you get groceries for somebody? I had people that had food delivered, bless their hearts, and
Yeah.
it was always way too spicy for me to eat, but my husband thought it was great, so that was all right. But even flowers, cards. People would tell me, we didn't know what to say.
Mm,
And my response was, Hallmark has cards. And the things that people sent to me, I mean, like people who had prayer shawls made for me. I mean, those, they're hanging. I mean, I made a display for them. I'm
nice.
like, can't put them down where the cats might get to them. And and so, just all of these things that you can do to support someone. But sometimes it's really, they just need to know you're here. And sometimes they need a little bit of harsh love. I have a friend who, she has unfortunately passed away, but there were times where she would be having a pity party. Oh, and it was a big pity party. And I would text her and I would say, buck up. you know, and and she would respond and she would say, I needed to hear that. And now obviously you can't always say something like that, but sometimes you need that kind of tough love type of thing, because if everybody's, oh poor you, then you get really caught up in the oh poor me thing. So it's something. But again, Baylin, thank you so much. I hope that you'll join the Facebook group, and obviously stay in touch, because I think you have some great feedback and great information.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Josh, we want to invite you to jump in. You've been such a key team member and friend and colleague and mentor to Deb as well. And so we just so appreciate and so glad that you're here too. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you've been on the journey with Deb to create the start of this movement, and it is really moving in so many ways, which is great. What do you have to say about this whole concept of turning turmoil into triumph and purpose? Because Deb is embodying it.
Absolutely. In fact, Deb is a perfect example of the reason why I do what I do. I love seeing people shine. I love seeing people on a mission and getting them out there and doing what they do best. I have to say, I think what impressed me most in working with Deb is, if she didn't tell me about her diagnosis, I never would have guessed. She doesn't act like a cancer patient.
A sick
And
person.
that's the whole point. That's kind of the crux of where we start. It was like, cancer is supposed to be bad, and you're supposed to be, depressed and, hanging your head down. And Deb's like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to have fun with this. It's one thing to have cancer, but cancer doesn't have to have us. Right. So we're a person with cancer, but we're not cancerous. And that line it was just like the perfect way to deliver what she wanted to say. So no, it's been absolute amazing experience. And I lost my father-in-law last month to pancreatic cancer. So it's all very, it's been on my mind, especially a lot. And Deb has helped me and helped, me process and help me go through this as well, real time. So I was helping her, but she was helping me too, 100%. And so, yeah, we're just getting started, by the way. I know Deb's got a lot more stuff coming out. She's got a lot more things that she wants to bring to the table, and it's going to change the conversation around cancer completely. And here's the other thing, we get into these, cancer is kind of a wake-up call, I think, for a lot of folks. I think it's so easy for us. One of the things I like to say is a lot of us tiptoe through life, hoping to make it safely to death. We kind of get into that routine. We kind of forget our purpose. We kind of forget that there's a life to live. And then boom, right? We get that wake-up call, and it gives us another opportunity. It lets us realize, like, are we really in the driver's seat, or have we been hanging out in the trunk?
Yeah.
So where I see Deb going with this is she's going to help people get back into that driver's seat. And you know what? No matter how much time is left, whether, like Deb said, you got months or you got years, that's irrelevant, because it's not about the end result. It's about what you do with the time that you do have. And that's what living is really about. Because then you win. Cancer can only win when you give up, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much good stuff here.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Josh, thank you so much. And Balin, thank you so much. And, my takeaways, and we'll complete our time together. We could spend the whole evening. We would love it. And for another time, we can continue the conversation, Deb, inside your Facebook group, which is so beautiful, a beautiful community. But, the things that I made as notes are, that every warrior needs a tribe. And, we need the community, we need the support, we need to educate people on what we need. They can't read our minds. And so you are helping people, Deb, to really become educated and empowered, and also to really be in control. And I love symbols. We've got to have the symbols to remind us of who we truly are. And no matter the turmoil, whatever it is, it's a diagnosis, it's a situation, it's, career, personal, professional, whatever it is, impossible to get through life and not experience it. But I believe that after today's program, I know you will think of it differently. There is opportunity. Yeah. Thank you. So let me finish up and, just
I want to give a quick shout out real quick, just to Suze Knack.
Please.
I have known Suze since I think I was 6, and she would have been 7. So yeah, Suze has been a part of my tribe for a very long time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Oh, good. And, we will never know the lives that will be touched through our program today. And that was really the purpose and our intent. And so with that, so happy to thank Deb for being our speaker today, esteemed faculty member. So grateful to you. Please join her Facebook group, Trying Not to Die.live. Really powerful. Recommend it to people, because I got to tell you, I'm on in this Facebook group with you, Deb, and so many others, that I feel empowered. I feel motivated. And, it's such a positive place to be. So I'm really thrilled about that. And of course, downloading your notebook, really good. We put the links in our chat here. And of course, scheduling a call with you. Let's get in contact with Deb, and, questions about a diagnosis, cancer diagnosis, or really questions also about how did she convert the diagnosis into her journey? What was that whole process, and how can you do the same thing? So thinking, as we complete our time, I always love to put a little bookend on our time and think, what was our biggest one takeaway? What was the biggest takeaway from our time together? And, to take that into maybe a post. We'd love a post on LinkedIn and Facebook, would love a little shout out. And, we're welcoming more and more esteemed faculty members into our council, because We love to promote and showcase you. We'd love to do a shout out here for Nancy Geary, Kathy Dirksen, Linda Conyard, all the way from Brisbane, Australia, is on our faculty. Michelle McGlade, LaTanya Pouncey, fabulous. I've got to mention about something with her in just a moment. We're going to feature her next month, but Trisha Bright, and of course, Gloria St. Marie Lowry. So if you're a coach, consultant, trusted advisor, thought leader, we want to promote you. And of course, as we complete our time, we always love, we love events. We love gathering people together. And I believe in the philosophy, always have something awesome to invite people to. Be the consummate host and hostess in your tribes and your community. So every Saturday, we have the Saturday morning Women's Success Circle. Oh boy, we get together at 11 a.m. Eastern, no recordings, no PowerPoints, just a delicious and delightful conversation with a topic that's new every week. And of course, doing a shout out for LaTanya Pouncey, she is going to be our esteemed faculty member speaker on Thursday, November 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. She's talking about and going to lead a discussion on what every coach and consultant needs to know about diversity, equity, and inclusion in business. And she's going to give us the inner secrets, the things that is not really, they're not really being talked about out there, but we're talking about them in our council. And of course, next Thursday, we're doing a special program about how to start, grow, and monetize and scale masterminds, inner circles, groups, and councils. How to develop your own tribe. Everybody's got to have a tribe. So that's a powerful program next Thursday. So as we finish, I think I'm sure Deb brought for all of you the knowing and the confidence that the world needs you and your powerful light. We've got to shine our light, friends. We've got to let it rip. We got to go for it. And we need a community and a tribe to support us. So come join the Women's Success Coaching and Consulting Council. We want you. Come in and we want to promote and showcase you. And feel free, would love to get on my calendar. It's very simple, calendly.com, Kathleen Caldwell. Let's schedule a time together. Let's talk about you, your business, and how we can promote and showcase you. So with that, big thank you to Deb Krier, big sparkle fingers. Let's take ourselves off mute and give a big thank you to Deb as we complete our time. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you so
Deb.
much, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye
all
for
of
now.
you.
Thank you. Great. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Thank you.